I've had a couple of lunches with Dion's father. I've spoken to them on the phone several times.
This isn't just any lunch. David Balch is having lunch with the parents of the man who killed his son.
We've lost our son, but they've basically lost their son too.
When I was visiting, David and his wife Krista got to see the sketch of a mural that will be painted on the wall of Sebastian's old preschool, commemorating the 1-year anniversary of his death. But it's the man who took their son's life they're interested in now.
He didn't set out that night to kill our son.
31-year-old Dion Gusner is now serving the maximum 16-year sentence in a maximum security prison near the Arizona border.
I really feel for him. I think he's in a terrible position, and we're hoping that, things will change for him and his sentencing and where he's being placed.
The Balches have gone so far as to write letters to the California Department of Corrections asking for leniency. David Balch says if he had his way, Gusner would be out.
Where he could go and come out and talk to kids in schools, talk to groups. There's such a need right now for people to share their stories. And that would be something really positive that can come out of this.
Every single day, the Balches are reminded of that horrific accident. Each time David or Krista leave the house or come home at the end of a long day, they have to drive by this makeshift memorial in Sebastian's honor, reliving a memory most would just as soon forget, a memory that Krista says 1 year can't begin to erase.
The other day I had a chance to tell a friend who was at House Sebastian, and this is one of my friends that lives far away, and that was the first person that I told. Everybody already knew, and there was a Facebook page.
Dion Gusner almost killed Krista Balch that night too. She was in the hospital for almost a month with a traumatic brain injury. She only remembers the last 2 days of her stay, but says when she became conscious again, she somehow knew what had happened to Sebastian.
It was very hard. It's hard to kind of not have that moment where you're told your son is dead.
And so this year has been a lot slower for Krista in the grieving process than it has been for David. Part of that healing for her has been corresponding with Gusner. She says his letters from prison are heartfelt and raw.
He's been very sensitive, and he feels very sorry and very traumatized by this whole situation. He's still very apologetic, very loving, very godly.
Their own faith and an overwhelming amount of support has allowed the Balches to weather the storm with their daughter Ava, who was also in the car that night. But more than anything, they say it's allowed them to forgive.
For better or worse, our lives are intertwined. Anger just festers, and that really was never an option.
Brooke Holmquist, your Central Coast News.